So also another problem with the democratic experiment in Egypt is the fact that the Islamists are not being absorbed in the political system. There are different Islamic factions, but the regime has not managed so far to absorb these people and contain them within the political system. So it remains a confrontational situation. Stability in Egypt has not yet been achieved at a substantial level. And of course, some Islamic factions resort to violence, so you have these acts of terrorism. And this is an extreme manifestation. Of course, you must have heard about this recent incident of killing German tourists, attributed to Islamic fundamentalism by some circles, but governmental circles say no, these are lunatic individuals who acted as crazy people, not as Islamists. So Islamic fundamentalism is being checked, and terrorism has been also checked, and Egypt is stable. And this is the problem. And, what the government likes to present the country as a stable political system, many of us living within the country don't really feel that it is a stable political system. There are, of course, manifestations of stability, that the government is still ruling the country and managing it. We have some sectarian problems, but not to the extent of a civil war, like other sectarian civil wars that exist in Africa, Sub-Sahara, or in other parts of the world. So more or less it's manageable in Egypt. More or less it can have, can give the image of a stable political system. But underneath the surface there are these many manifestations which I am trying to describe to you. That it is not a genuine democratic system. Pluralism is more cosmetic than genuine. And real contestation and competition does not include power for circulation or even power for sharing. Even power sharing is not allowed. And take the example of the local councils, put aside parliamentary seats and take local councils, which are many councils where thousands of people can sit on different local council seats. The ruling party tries to dominate and monopolize even these ones. Although there are so many, you can allow a few hundreds for opposition people to be represented, even a token representation, but it doesn't allow even this. It's like to have 100%. We still have this mentality of 99%, which is the mentality of the ancien regime. One party system, one great leader, one ideology, one everything. So that was understandable to speak of a 99% percentage to explain everything. But speaking of pluralism and democracy, and at the same time keeping this mentality of 99% of seats for the ruling party, 99% of vote went to the president in his elections. And by the way, we don't have elections for a president. We have something called the referendum. The parliament nominates a particular candidate, and it should be by 2/3 majority. That's why the ruling party wants to keep a 2/3 majority, at least all of the parliament, to secure that the one man to be the president is really nominated by parliament. Then in the referendum we say yes or no. And in fact it doesn't make any difference whether we say yes or no, whether we go or we don't go. The results are a foregone conclusion. This is actually the silliest part of the whole thing. It doesn't look serious at all. But the only change that took place in the last referendum on President Mubarak is that he was given only 96% instead of 99%, which is a great change. 3% of people said no, 500,000 people saying no. We never imagined this to be declared as official result by the authorities. So whenever we say the democratic experiment is not really progressing, they can always have the ready answer, no, it is progressing. It's shifted from 99 to 96. Okay, let me change my own proposition and say we have the 96% mentality instead of the 99% mentality, which is not a big change, of course.